What's up, YouTube? What up, twin? How y'all doing? Back with another video, back with another daily upload. And today I want to talk about how it's not you versus you, it's you helping you. You need to change your perspective on going against yourself and start helping yourself. You don't need to defeat your ego, you need to help your ego out. Your ego is a tool to help you to get to your destination. So if your ego is a tool that is for you, you don't need to go against it. And a lot of times we want to destroy our ego because we feel like our ego is doing too much. But no, our ego is only doing too much because you're allowing it to do too much, because you're not in control of your ego. You're not mastering your own ego. You have to be a self-master of your own ego. And it's not you versus you. When I say self-master of your own ego, you have to help your ego out. You have to train your ego in the way that you want to train yourself. You have to discipline your ego in the way you want to be disciplined. Your ego is a tool that is necessary for you. Yes, your ego is a tool that's necessary for you. And it's not you versus you. And I see this a lot of time on YouTube, people talking about this you versus you. You should never be wanting to go against yourself. Why do you want to go against yourself? That's making you your number one enemy. And then that's why we always walk around, always doubting ourselves, always going against ourselves, always talking down on ourselves, because we always think that we are an enemy to ourselves, and we are not an enemy to ourselves. You are your own best friend. I made a video on this. You are your own best friend. And you need to treat yourself like a best friend. You need to treat yourself like a person that you care for. You need to treat yourself like a little kid. Not in the sense of controlling yourself, but treat yourself in a way like you're training yourself. You got to train your mind. You got to train your body. You got to train your ego. You got to understand your ego, because your ego works in the ways that you allow it to work. Because your subconscious mind is a dwelling place for your ego and a dwelling place for God. And God and your ego can work hand to hand. Because if you self-master your ego and also allow God to work and flow through your life, that's self-mastery in both areas. That's a lot of peace and that's a lot of discipline. Peace and discipline take you a long way in life. Peace and discipline take you a long way in life. But you're not able to discipline yourself because you let your ego run wild and free. Your ego is like a wild animal right now, yo. Your ego is like an animal that has broken out of the New York Zoo or some shit, and it's just running around trying to tear people up, trying to destroy you. Your ego is trying to destroy you, and of course you're going to view it like that because, like I said, you saying you versus you. So of course your ego is going to try to destroy you because that's your perspective. But we need to change that perspective, like I said, and you need to change that perspective to you helping you. Not you versus you, you helping you. Find ways to help your ego. Find ways to control your ego, but not in the sense of being too controlling, in the sense of understanding that if you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say you're going to be disciplined with doing something, then do it. Don't let your ego get in the way of doing things. Don't let your ego get in the way of God. You need to train your ego in the sense of letting God work in your life, but also allowing your ego to be what it is. Knowing that your subconscious mind is a part of your ego. Your subconscious mind boosts your ego. But that's also where God dwells, like I said. So you need to you need to become one with all. You need to become one with your ego, become one with God, and allow them to work together. Allow them to work together. And I had to realize that because there was so many times where I was just going against myself. It was so many times where I was just trying to defeat my ego. But you will never be able to defeat your ego because your ego is a part of your 3D physical body. You need your ego in this physical realm. God dwells in the mental and the spiritual realm, and you need your ego in this physical realm because your ego is a part of the actions that you have to take. Your ego is a part of damn, that was hard. Your ego is a part of the actions that you have to take. But so many times we don't tap into all three realms. We only tap into our ego. But you need to tap into God and then allow God to work through your ego. God can work through your ego. And I learned this. I'm like, hold on. I'm starting to see now, because ever since I just started to discipline my ego and just allow my ego to step back and not get in the way of letting God flow in my life, God allows my ego to work in so many different ways. And your ego is a realm where you can learn self-control, self-worth, and all that, because your ego is necessary for self-worth. And I'm not saying ego as in the sense of a narcissistic ass way. I'm talking about your ego as in the sense of you knowing who you are physically, and then you know who you are with God mentally and spiritually. That's all three planes of existence. You got to master all three planes in order to ascend above reality. So do not try to destroy your ego. Don't try to get rid of your ego. You trying to get rid of something that you need in this physical realm. You trying to get rid of something that God needs to use to help you get to where you want to. Why would you get rid of it? Why would you want to go against yourself? Why do you want to go against yourself? Why do you always say you versus you? Why do you make yourself the #1 enemy? You just self-sabotaging yourself. Why are you sabotaging yourself? You always talking about, oh, somebody on the outside doing this. I got enemies. I got haters. No, nigga, you is the hater. That's why you got haters. That's why you got enemies, because you are your #1 enemy. So, of course, the world going to treat you like an enemy if you treat yourself like an enemy, because you are what you want. You are the source of what you want. So if you're an enemy, if you're a hater to yourself, then the world's going to treat you like an enemy and a hater to yourself. And I realized that too, because a lot of times I'll put myself in situations where people would be, quote unquote, enemies or hating on me, and I didn't really care at the time. But then at the same time, like, you know why it's like that? Because I was hating and doubting and being an enemy to myself, because I was trying to destroy myself instead of build myself up and give myself grace and allow my ego to be disciplined, but also allow my ego to flow in this physical realm. And it's like, bro, once I realized that, I'm like, hold on. It's never you versus you. It's always you helping you. You always got to help yourself. You got to constantly be there for yourself 24/7. You got to constantly guide yourself 24/7. You got to constantly know that your ego and God is working for you, not against you. It's not working against you. And you got this narrative that everything is working against you. That's why the universe is working against you. That's why everything in your life is working against you. You got to stop working against your stuff and start working with yourself. Let me say that again. You got to stop working against yourself and start working with. Ooh, my bad. Hold on. Let me repeat that, because, hey, that spaghetti coming up. Pause. But anyways, you got to start working with yourself, not working against yourself. Stop working against yourself, dog. That ain't gonna get you nowhere. You're gonna be stuck in the same cycle over and over and over, because you're gonna start feeling guilty that you're working against yourself. You're gonna start feeling angry when you don't accomplish something. You're gonna start to want to feel perfect. And that's where the egos want to take over, instead of the ego knowing where its place is in your life. That's where the ego wants to take over, because the ego is gonna make you feel like you gotta be this perfect person, because you got to accomplish certain type of things and you got to do certain type of things. And when you fail to do something that you say you're going to do, your ego is going to be like, oh, you failed, huh? You ain't no perfect person. And that's when you start going against yourself. You start doubting yourself. You start beating yourself up, because you be like, damn, why I ain't do this? I know I don't need to be doing this. Why are you doing this, man? You dumb as hell for doing blah, 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 blah. And I used to talk to myself like that. But you don't need to talk to yourself like that. The only thing that you need to do when you mess up is to sit back, realize that you messed up, and then sit there and be like, you know what? I'm proud of myself. Instead of going against yourself, always tell yourself that you're proud of yourself. Because when you tell yourself that you're proud of yourself, you're transmuting against the energy of guilt, shame, all of that. Because why would you want to put yourself in a guilty paradox? You don't want to do that. You want to tell yourself that you're proud of yourself, because this is going to keep motivating you, and this is going to transform your vibration, your energy to something positive, to get you out of these negative situations. So whenever something happens and you feel like you off, you feel like you threw yourself off, you're not on the right path, you is on the right path. That's what you should need to realize, that you on the right path. Second, you need to tell yourself that you're proud of yourself. And always tell yourself that you're proud of yourself. No matter what happens, just tell yourself that you're proud of yourself. You don't need to go against yourself. You don't need to doubt yourself. You don't need to do none of that. All right? Start telling yourself that you're proud of yourself. That's all you got to do. Tell yourself that you're proud of yourself and stick to your word. And I'm pretty sure that we all have times where we don't stick to our word, and it's okay. We all not perfect. You need to realize that you're not perfect. So let go of that narrative of trying to be perfect and just be yourself. And if you make a mistake, it's okay. You're still on the right path. That's it. That's all. But hey, that's what I want to talk about today, man. I hope y'all having a blessed day, blessed night, drinking y'all water, staying safe, staying hydrated, man. Give me a fist bump. I see y'all in the next video. Peace out.